Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to part 2 of Conversations with God on book 1. Yes, thank you for coming back and being here with me. We've got to page 10, and page 10 we had a lot to discuss, go over, read, take in, question, whatever it is you want. I just want to take you along with this. It doesn't matter what religion or what you believe in. It's just we all pray to something to get to God. And if you can put this as whatever God you believe in and see if that's the God that is speaking to you as well. That you can feel your God in the words and all that stuff. So it doesn't matter what you believe in. I just ask that you have an open heart, an open mind, and nothing but acceptance, no judgment, and understanding, and putting yourself in someone's shoes and seeing their perspective. Again, this is just my perspective on and my thoughts and opinions about the book and what I pick up from the book. We may share the same or we may not. It doesn't matter to me. I still love you the same. But so I know that we left off on asking about prayer. So let's just jump right in, okay? And I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. So let's jump right back in. It says, and we left off at this question. Does that mean I cannot ask for anything I want? Are you saying that praying for something actually pushes it away from us? Okay, so I'm really curious on what you think. Please leave what your answer was to that question in the comments below. I would so love it to hear from it. Or you can make a video of replying to it. I would love to see it and listen to it, to subscribe and like and everything. So I'm going to read to you what God replied to, is it Donald? Or Neil. Donald is his middle name. So God replies, "This is a question which has been asked through the ages. It has been answered whenever it has been asked. Yet you have not heard the answer or will not believe it." True. Because for us, for some reason, humans, we have to see it to believe it instead of believing in something that's not there. When people believe in Jesus, even though they can't see him. You know what I mean? They believe in that kind of stuff, but they can't take an extra further leap of believing what's not there and knowing that on the spiritual realm is being taken care of. Yeah. And let me continue. The question is answered again in today's terms and in today's language thusly. You will not have that for which you ask, nor can you have anything you want. This is because your very request is a statement of lack. And you're saying you want a thing only, you are saying you want a thing only works to produce that precise experience wanting in your reality. The correct prayer is therefore never a prayer of supplication, but a prayer of gratitude. When you thank God in advance for which that you choose to experience in your reality, you, in effect, acknowledge that it is there, in effect. Thankfulness is thus the most powerful statement to God, an affirmation that even before you ask, I have answered. Therefore, never supplicate, appreciate. Ooh, I'm going to continue. But what if I am grateful to God in advance for something and it never shows up? That could lead to disillusionment and bitterness. Ready for them, right? Ready? And he has very good comebacks. Very, very good. What's his name again? Neil. Keep on calling him Donald. Donald! So, God replies, gratitude cannot be used as a tool with which to manipulate. God, a device with which to fool the universe. You cannot lie to yourself. Your mind knows the truth. It sure does. Of your thoughts. Your mind knows the truth of your thoughts. If you're saying, thank you, God, for such and such, all the while being very clear that it isn't there in your present reality, You can't expect God to be less clear than you. So you produce it, so therefore you, and so produce it for you. God knows what you know, and what you know is what appears as your reality. Woo. Let's continue. Neil asks, but how then can I be truly grateful for something I know is not there? Good question. Let's see what God has to say. And it's simple as that. If you said faith, it is. Faith. If you have but the faith of a mustard seed, you shall move mountains. You come to know it is there because I said it is there. Because I said that even before you ask, I shall have answered, because I said and have said to you in every conceivable way, through every teacher you can name, that whatsoever you shall choose, choosing it in my name, so it shall be. Yet so many, and then this is Neil. Yet so many people say that their prayers have gone unanswered. God replies, no prayer, and a prayer is nothing more than a fervent statement of what is so, goes unanswered. Every prayer, every thought, every statement, every feeling is creative to the degree that it is fervently held as truth. To that degree will it be made manifest in your experience. When it is said that a prayer has not been answered, what has in actuality happened is that the most fervently held thought, word, or feeling has become operative. Yet what you must know, and here is the secret, is that always it is the thought behind the thought. What might be called the sponsoring thought, that is the controlling thought. If therefore you beg and supplicate, there seems a much smaller chance that you will experience what you think you are choosing, because the sponsoring thought behind every supplication is that you do not have now what you wish. That sponsoring thought becomes your reality. Ooh. The only sponsoring thought which could override this thought is the thought held in faith that God will grant whatever is asked without fail. Some people have such faith, but very few. And which is really true. So for me, people always ask me, how can you have that much faith? Like, how do you know it's getting taken care of? And I ask, how do you know that it's not? How do you know that it's not? You want to question, but like you're questioning me and now I'm questioning you, kind of thing. And it's because I've always had that faith and that belief, even though it may not happen now, or it may happen now, it may happen in a week, in a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. I know it's going to come and it's going to happen, all in divine timing. You know, so it's like, always have that faith, because regardless of what I can think back at, is like when I was having a hard time, or I was like, oh, I'll never get over this. Oh, this situation's very hard. How am I going to do this? How am I going to make it through? I always made it through. So, and then it was always, I went through it, like, why is this happening to me? Versus like, it would change and I would hear God be like, it's okay, my child. You just need to get up and keep pushing forward. You know, I've always heard God. I've always communicated with God ever since I was little. I didn't know it was God, but I knew it was something higher with a lot of love. And who didn't judge me, just accepted me and forgave me, just like how I would want my physical parent to be here in this reality. But I have that parent in the spiritual reality, basically. So it's like people have such faith, but only very few actually follow through with it, hold that belief and that faith. So as the process of prayer becomes much easier when, rather than having to believe that God will always say yes to every request, One understands intuitively that the request itself is not necessary. Then the prayer is a prayer for thanksgiving. It is not a request at all, but a statement of gratitude for what is so. Then Neil goes, when you say that a prayer is a statement of what is so, are you saying that God does nothing? That everything which happens after a prayer is a result of the prayer's action? God replies, if you believe that God is some opponent being who hears all prayers, says yes to some, no to others, and maybe, but not now to the rest, you are mistaken. By the rule of thumb, would God decide? By what rule of thumb would God decide? If you believe that God is the creator and decider of all things in your life, you are mistaken. God is the observer, not the creator. And God stands ready to assist you in living your life, but not in the way you might expect. It is not God's function to create or uncreate the circumstances or conditions in your life. God created you in the image and likeness of God. You have created the rest through the power God has given you. God created the process of life and life itself as you know it. Yet God gave you free choice to do with life as you will. In this sense, your will in this sense, your will for you is God's will for you. You are living your life the way you are living your life, and I have no preference in the matter. This is the grand illusion in which you have engaged, that God cares one way or the other what you do. I do not care what you do, and that is hard for you to hear. Yet, do you care what your children do when you send them out to play? Oh, it's going to get deep. Is it a matter of consequence to you whether they play tag or hide and seek or pretend? No, it is not, because you know they are perfectly safe. You have placed them in an environment which you consider friendly and very okay. Of course, you will always hope that they do not hurt themselves. And if they do, you will be right there to help them, heal them, allow them to feel safe again, to be happy again, and to go and play again another day. But whether they choose hide or seek or pretend will not matter to you the next day either. You will tell them, of course, which games are dangerous to play, but you cannot stop your children from doing dangerous things. Not always, not forever, not in every moment, from now until death. Getting real. It is the wise parent who knows this. Yet the parent never stops caring about the outcome. It is this, I don't know this word, dichotomy, I believe, not caring deeply about the process, but caring deeply about the result. That comes close to describing the dichotomy of God. I don't know what that word is. I'll look it up later. Yet God, and I don't mind, I don't mind showing you guys I don't know words, because I know I'm not the only one in this world, okay? I'm better at speaking, not reading. I'm better at both, but hey. Okay, let's get back to it. Yet God, in a sense, does not even care about the outcome, not the ultimate outcome. This is because the ultimate outcome is assured. And this is the second great illusion of man, that this outcome of life is in doubt. It is this doubt about ultimate outcome that has created your greatest enemy, which is fear. For if you doubt outcome, then you must doubt Creator. You must doubt God. And if you doubt God, you must live in fear and guilt all your life. If you doubt God's intentions and God's ability to produce the ultimate result, then how can you ever relax? How can you ever truly find peace? Yet God has full power to match intentions with result. You cannot and will not believe in this, even though you claim that God is all powerful. And so you have to create in your imagination a power equal to God in order that you may find a way of God's will to be thwarted. And so you have created in your mythology of being you call devil. You have imagined a God at war with this being, thinking that God solves problems the way you do. Finally, you have actually imagined that God could lose this war. All of this violates everything you say you know about God, but this doesn't matter. You live your illusion and thus feel your guilt, feel your fear out of all your decisions to doubt God. But what if you made a new decision? What then would be the result? I tell you this. You would live as the Buddha did, as Jesus did, as did every saint you have ever idolized. Yet, as with most of those saints, people would not understand you. And when you tried to explain your sense of peace, your joy in life, your inner ecstasy, they would listen to your words, but not hear them. They would try to repeat your words, but would add to them. They would wonder how you could have what they couldn't find. And then they would grow jealous. Soon jealousy would turn into rage, and in their anger, they would try to convince you that it is you who does not understand God. And if they were unsuccessful at tearing you from your joy, they would seek to harm you. So enormous would be their rage. And when you told them it does not matter, that even death cannot interrupt your joy nor change your truth, they would surely kill you. Then when they saw the peace with which you accepted death, they would call you a saint and love you again. For it is in the nature of people to love, then destroy, then love again that which they value most. Fucking A. And that was powerful right there. And you cannot tell me, like, I feel that is so true. So true, because jealousy you're not taken care of and not healed from, it leads down that ugly path, that ugly life road. And like this. And that's why I feel like Buddha, Jesus, they were here. They were just like us. And all the saints, because people always tell me, why do you have Buddha and why do you have all the saints? And for me, it's because the saints, I don't worship them. I acknowledge them. I give them thanks and gratitude because they were the ones here first to leave that imprint and to continue to walk that path. It just didn't end with Jesus. It just didn't end with Mary Magdalene. It just didn't end with, it didn't. It kept on evolving each generation, but they put a stop to it. And like what people don't notice, some of us who are evolving, some of us are walking saints, and it's just like not being like, oh, I'm a saint, you better. No, it's just like a knowing, and if you know that about yourself, if you know who you are, you don't go walking around telling everybody. It's just a feeling that people get from you, a vibe. It's the vibe, okay? Some people will know who you truly are because they're tapped in and they know kind of thing, but other than that, no. But it is true. It's true. That's what they did to Jesus. They loved him. Then they got jealous of him because they saw his following, even though he didn't want following. He wanted to make us all leaders, right? They destroyed him by killing him. And then after that he died and rose again to show his spirit form, then they loved him, then they praised him, then they valued only what they wanted, but not the whole thing. And like this book, I'm telling you, this is such a really good book. I don't know about you, but I'm enjoying it again. I haven't read this for like almost a year or so going back over it is like, yes. Like, yes. Speak the truth. Speak it. And like, that's why I say use discernment. Because with this book, if I feel it, then I know. Like that, I take it as my truth. If you feel it, take it as your truth. You know, and if some of this stuff you don't feel, don't take it. Just leave it. You know, just take what you want and implement it in your life. You know, there's no right or wrong way living your life. It's free will how you choose. And so you'd be like, oh, I'm going to take this, and you take it, but say it didn't work out for you. It's okay to leave it and take something else. Nobody's going to know. The only somebody's going to know is if you tell them, or if you think that they're watching, you know, it's all that good stuff. Okay. Sorry, I'm uploading a video. I upload videos to YouTube and the WeedTube. But anyways, let's continue. Okay. Then Neil asks, but why? Why do we do that? Good question, Neil. And it was 21111, as I was saying that. It says, all human actions are motivated at their deepest level by one of two emotions, fear or love. In truth, there are only two emotions, only two words in the language of the soul. These are the opposite ends of the greatest polarity which I created when I produced the universe and your world as you know it today. These are the 2 points, the alpha and the omega, which allows the system you call relativity. Relativity to be. Without these 2 points, without these 2 ideas about things, no other idea could exist. Every human thought and every human action is based in either love or fear. There is no other human motivation, and all other ideas are but derivatives of these 2. They are simply different versions, different twists on the same theme. Think on this deeply and you will see that it is true. This is what I have called the sponsoring thought. It is either a thought of love or fear. This is the thought behind the thought behind the thought. It is the first thought. It is prime force. It is the raw energy that drives the engine of human experience. And here is how human behavior produces repeat experiences after repeat experience. It is why humans love, then destroy, then love again. Always there is the swing from one emotion to the other. Love sponsors fear. Love sponsors fear, sponsors love, sponsors fear. And the reason is found in the first lie. The lie which you told as the truth about God. That God cannot be trusted. That God's love cannot be depended upon. That God's acceptance of you is conditional. That the ultimate outcome is thus in doubt. For you cannot depend on God's love to always be there. On whose love can you depend? Right? If God retreats and withdraws when you do not perform properly, will not mere mortals also? And so it is that in that moment you pledge your highest love. You greet your greatest fear. For the first thing you worry about after saying, I love you, is whether you'll hear it back. And if you hear it back, then you begin immediately to worry that love you have just found, you will lose. See, and that's why I love people with no condition. I love people because I love people. I don't need you to tell them to say it back to me because I love me and I know God loves me. So it's like you won't need it. It'd be nice to hear it back, yes, but like for me, I tell people I love them because I love them. I don't expect them to tell me it back because I know we're not the same. You know what I mean? No expectations. Let me get back. And so all actions become a reaction, defense against loss, even as you seek to defend yourself against the loss of God. Yet if you knew who you are, that you are the most magnificent, the most remarkable, the most splendid being God has ever created, you would never fear. For who could reject such wondrous magnificence? Not even God could find fault in such a being. But you do not know who you are, and you think you are a great deal less. And where did you get the idea of how much less than magnificent you are? From the only people whose word you would take on everything. From your mother and your father. These are the people who love you the most. Why would they lie to you? Yet have they not told you that you are too much of this and not enough of that? Have they not reminded you that you are to be seen and not heard? Have they not scolded you in some of the moments of your greatest exuberance? And did they not encourage you to set aside some of your wildest imagining? These are the messages you've received, and though they do not meet the criteria and are thus not messages from God, they might as well have been, for they have come from the gods of your universe, surely enough. It was your parents who taught you that love is conditional. You have felt their conditions many times, and that is the experience you take into your own love relationships. It is also the experience you bring to me. From this experience, you draw your conclusion about me. Within this framework, you speak your truth. God is a loving God, you say. But if you break his commandments, he will punish you with eternal banishment and everlasting damnation. For you have not experienced the banishment of your own parents. Do you not know the pain of their damnation? How then could you imagine it to be any different with me? Have you forgotten what it was like to be loved without condition? You do not, says you have forgotten what you have forgotten what it was like to be loved without condition. You do not remember the experience of the love of God. And you also try to imagine what God's love must be like based on what you see the love in the world. You have projected the role of parents onto God and have this come up with a God who judges and rewards or punishes based on how good he feels about what you've been up to. But this is a simplistic view of God based on your mythology. Sorry, because reading that gets me emotional. Because growing up, I was verbally abused all the time by everybody. I was one of those kids where I need to see you, but I don't want to hear you. The kind of thing. And in my mind, I'd be I would question too, why would God treat me like this through my parents? And that's true. That's how I saw God, was through my parents. Because those are the people who are supposed to love you. And they do love you. I'm saying my parents love me in their own kind of way, but like being that one kid always picked on, always teased, always not welcomed. What I would do, and like this is where it's like, oh my god, I wasn't imagining things, it's true, is like I would go under my bed when I was little and I'll start crying. I'd be like, why am I like this? Everything that my mom just got done telling me, and my older sister, all those negative things, I would go under the bed, like, why am I like this? Why am I this? Why am I that? And then this nice voice would come in and I would say, and I labeled it as my dad, like a parent figure. It was like a mom and dad combined in one, because those were the like the voices that I would hear. That voice, even though it sounded like mine, but it felt different. That's what I would have wanted my actual physical mom or dad to tell me, instead of what I really heard. So it was like, no, I know my God forgives me, he understands. And then like I would be like, what if God was here, what kind of conversation would you have? And how do you think God loves you? And I would go like, yeah, I made a mistake, but the God that I know that loves me, he understands, because I didn't make that mistake before, and it was my first time making it. And like, for me, it was always a he. I needed like a father figure in my life. It was really weird. But I was like, but he understands, he forgives me, he loves me, he knows that I had to experience that to know like if it's part of me or not part of me, if I want to make it part of me or not part of me, because that's my free will, but I always got scolded, but like not scolded, but it was always like, what you did wrong, right? Like it would always be that conversation in my head. So it's like, okay, now go back out there, try not to make that same mistake, but kind of thing. But this, and like it gets me too, because like when people come to me and like their faith or their belief in God, it doesn't matter if they're in a religion or not, but is broken as well because of our parents, and it's true. Don't we get enough condemnment? Don't we get enough shit from our parents, all that negative stuff? So why would God be like that? God's the complete opposite of that. Like, I don't know. When I first read this book, it made me feel like I wasn't alone, and everything I was going through was right. Everything I was hearing and seeing was true. I just didn't understand it because I was very young. I just had to experience life to truly understand it and come be at this point in my life. And it explains in book 3 where evil comes from, where the devil came from, and all that stuff. I was like, what time is it? I want to see. I have a couple more minutes. I'm gonna see if I can make it through, and to leave it off on the other one. Okay, so I'm gonna continue, and then I'm gonna be ending it soon. Okay, so it says, based on your mythology, it has nothing to do with who I am. Having this created an entire thought system about God based on human experience rather than spiritual truths. You then create an entire reality around love. It is a fear-based reality rooted in the idea of a fearful, vengeful God. Its sponsoring thought is wrong, but to deny that thought would be to disrupt your whole theology. And though the new theology which would replace it would truly be your salvation, you cannot accept it because the idea of a God who is not to be feared, who will not judge, and who has no cause to punish is simply too magnificent to embrace within even your grandest nation of who and what God is. This fear-based love reality dominates your experience of love. Indeed, actually creates it. For not only do you see yourself receiving love, which is conditional, you also watch yourself giving it in the same way. And even while you withhold and retreat and set your conditions as part of you knows this is not what love really is, still you seem powerless to change the way you dispense it. You've learned the hard way. You tell yourself and you'll be damned if you're going to leave yourself vulnerable again. Yet the truth is, you'll be damned if you don't. By your own mistaken thought about love, do you damn yourself never to experience it purely? So to do, you damn yourself never to know me as I really am, until you do. For you shall not be able to deny me forever, and the moment will come for our reconciliation. Every action taken by human beings is based in love or fear, not simply those dealing with relationships. Decisions affecting businesses, industry, politics, religion, and education for your young. The social agenda of your nations, the economic goals of your society, choices involving war, peace, attack, defense, aggression, submission, determinations to covet or to convey, or give away, to save or to share, to unite or to divide. Every single free choice you have undertake arises out of one of the only two possible thoughts there are: a thought of love or a thought of fear. Fear is the energy which contacts, closes down, draws in, runs, hides, hoards, harms. Love is an energy which expands, opens up, sends out, stays, reveals, shares, heals. Fear wraps our bodies in clothing. Love allows us to stand naked. Fear clings to and clutches all that we have. Love gives all that we have away. Love soothes. Fear Let me call you right back. Well, I'm almost done. So let's go. Fear holds close, love holds dear. Fear grasps, love lets go. Fear rankles, love soothes. Fear attacks, love amends. Every human thought, word, or deed is based in one, emotion or the other. You have no choice but this, because there is nothing else from which to choose. But you have free choice about which of these to select. Ooh, I'm going to end it right there because I went past a little bit. So I have a couple minutes to talk and go over things. And I guess I'm going to stop it at 40 minutes. I just want to say thank you so much for being here and being this far with me during this video. I love you guys. I'm sending you so much love, light, and blessings your way.